Don't leave anyone else out. All right, if not, we're going to proceed. When asked me, he said, "You're going to be at the buyout. You know, if you wasn't going to be there." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you know, going to be there. You know, they could do praise and worship. I didn't know I was going to be up here." just you know, praise and worship. It's not whatever, but you know, however, it is what it is, right? Most High prepares us for times like this. All praises, you know me. I'll be like, look, I want to be out, you know, just amongst people, and still amongst the people. It's not what I always say. You know, I never see myself as like a teacher or, you know, whatever the case may be. You know, even when Most High does use me to teach, I treat it as a discussion. You know, I'm not, you know, I don't want to be like the one lording over anybody or thinking I got it all down pat, this now, whatever. We are just, you know, we're discussing. We're all reading the, you know, the text. You know what I mean? The Most High is using every last one of us. So, you know, all praises, family. All praises. So with that, Abba, may the words of my mouth, meditation of our heart be acceptable in your sight. For you are our strength and you are our Redeemer. All praises. So I brought this teaching out a few weeks ago in Raleigh, and it's just been, as Marayan had alluded to, us losing our lives, and humbling ourselves, and the Most High will exalt us in His time. So with that, bring this forth, and you know, it may prick some hearts, you know, it may do a little damage just now, whatever. Some cats like, but we gonna let it be known. We're gonna let it be known. All praises. So the title I have here is Yah is King over Yahshua, right? Yah is King over Yahshua. And the thought process question that I had posed is, should we be calling ourselves kings when Yah is our king? Should we be calling ourselves king when Yah is our king? That's the huge thing in Yahshua, you know what I mean? You know, of course we're excited, you know, we're awakened, and we know that we come from, you know, kings and things of that nature, and we're chosen people of the Most High. But there's a text in there that, you know, that drew me to that. And with that, I think it's 1 Samuel 8. 1 Samuel 8. Yes, I think it's 1 Samuel 8. Samuel 8. The first thing I want to bring out was, you know, keep in mind, get a hand on 1 Samuel 8. Was it 2 Chronicles, you know, foundation, 2 Chronicles 7. 14, I think it is. Okay. So Most High says, if my people who are called by my name shall do what?
Humble themselves.
One more time.
Humble themselves.
My people who are called by my name will humble themselves. First thing he says, then pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways. He says, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. Then verse 15 says, now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayer that is made in this place. Right? So the first thing he says is to humble ourselves. Now let's go to Leviticus.
That was 1 Samuel 8.
No, that was 2 Chronicles 7. Yeah, 14, 15. We're going to go to 1 Samuel today, but I wanted to get to these real quick first. So he says to humble ourselves. Now let's go real quick to Leviticus 26. Leviticus 26. And verse 41. Well, I'll start at verse 40. And I'm reading from the ESV, y'all. So it may sound a little bit different. So Leviticus 26:40 says, "But if they confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers in their treachery that they committed against me, and also in walking contrary to me, so that I walked contrary to them and brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised heart is humbled, and they make amends for their iniquity, then I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and I will remember my covenant with Isaac, my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land." That was Leviticus 26, 40 to 42. Okay, and I think the King James reads in verse 41, if then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and I think it says, Marsh, you have it? What does it read, verse 41? You have it, Mike?
Leviticus 26, verse 41. "And that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity."
Okay, yeah, and they then accept the punishment of their iniquity. So basically, you're acknowledging why we're in the place that we're in, acknowledging why so-called black people have been suffering for so long, right? It's not, I know I hear a lot of people say, well, they, meaning the nations or whatever the case may be, well, they did this to us and they did that to us and they took this from us and they lied to us and this and that or whatever. No, this is all the Most High's doing, right? And honestly, our people did what? Our people made the choice to be disobedient, right? Now, the Most High gave us instruction in the wilderness. He told us, gave us the commandments, and he gave us the instructions. He gave us the blessings and the curses, right? He said, I set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, right? And then said what? Choose life so that you and your seed may live, right? And our people did what? They chose death. And they chose to be disobedient. They chose to make graven images. They chose, idol worship. So guess what? The curses fell upon us, right? And then I think he says in Jeremiah 17:4 that he said, I'm removing you from the heritage that I gave you. Right? So it's not, the nations didn't do anything to us. I always liken it to in the Gospels when, I can't remember what was the dialogue itself, but, Yahushua said to Pontius Pilate, basically, you didn't do anything to me. You didn't overtake me. I was given into your hand. That's what happened with us, people. The nations didn't overpower us or anything like that. We were given into their hand. We were given into their hand. That's why, I think in Ecclesiastes it says what? The race is not given to the swift nor the battle to the strong. Because we were given into the hand of these people. And now the Most High is telling us to humble ourselves, to get back to Him. So with that, again, the question is, should we be calling ourselves king when Yah is our king?
Can I say real quick, I just find that those verses especially that, was it the Leviticus and the Samuel, but I know just talking about my people were called by my name, and realize for me, it was one of those things that really helped put the nail in the coffin for me. It's like when you see that He scattered us, and I know like even what you're saying, I feel like He is consistent even in the scripture where He used nations to come upon us, especially when we're being disobedient. But I feel like one of the things that really helped me grasp this thing is to see our condition no matter where we are. Like, we've been scattered. It's consistent that we're in a low place no matter where. And you see consistently how we're treated, being called by that byword, and just in a low place as a nation. We have individuals who may have like a monetary gain or some things or living comfort. But as a nation, you can see us in that low place everywhere on this flat earth. And I'm like, wow, to me that shows that you follow those curses. And when I had a conversation with a pastor, he don't even want to hear that Deuteronomy 20. He said, like, everybody goes, but I feel like, yo, that's a big thing. He's like, you know what I mean? If you know my people, you can follow the curses. You know what I mean? So, I just feel like those verses, I just love that, and it's so personal and possessive. You say, my people. You know what I mean? It's called my name. I just love that.
One time I was thinking, I was like, man, I said, just reading through Judges and Daniel and all these things, I'm like, man, we have literally been captive in every nation. In every single nation, we've been captive because of what? Idol worship, because we've refused to just be obedient to the Most High, who has given us everything, literally has given us the world. And now all he asks us to do now, as far as coming back to him, is just, be humble. Be humble, like accept the punishment, accept why you are in this situation. Because think about this, when we speak about it in the natural, in each and every day, just when we do people doing interventions or whatever, what do they say? The first thing you need to do in order to, overcome these addictions and things like that. What is the first thing they say? Acknowledge that you even have the problem. So this is what the Most High wants us to do. He wants us to be accountable. Be accountable. We may not have done it, but it's our forefathers. We're attached to them. So even now that, we was, I think Abadi alluded to it the other day on prayer call, some of us are the first ones to break these generational curses. Right? So now we have to come out of this. So the first thing we need to do is acknowledge that, our forefathers said, we dropped the ball. So now we got to get back on point. And the first thing we have to do is truly live in humility towards the Most High. And so with that, I'm going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 8.
I'm going to say 2.
Oh, yes.
I think that goes to when we also are praying and we're asking for the forgiveness of our fathers and foremothers who I always think ultimately the kind of technically righteous generation that is trying to get it right before you. We're not perfect, we don't have all the answers, but see our efforts as pure. So even when we're praying, making sure that we pray for the forgiveness of the sins of our forefathers and our foremothers. Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out as well.
Yeah, because we're far removed. We're literally far removed from the heritage Most High has given us. Yeah. Far removed, right? So we're efforting to get back. We're not going to have everything perfect, and that's why I always say, when our people, see a lot of people, kind of bickering and going back and forth with banter with the names and feast days and different times and all this other stuff. We don't need to be worried about that stuff. Let's seek the weightier matters of the instructions. The weightier matters. That's what's more important. Because I haven't read, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't read anywhere where it says that once we are awakened, that we're all going to be in line, celebrating everything the same time, and everybody's going to be speaking the same thing. Paul had alluded to this is what he hopes for. I think it's in 1 Corinthians 1:10, where he hopes that we have the same mind, same judgment, speaking the same things. Of course, we hope for that, but it doesn't say that once we get to this place, that once the Most High awakens us, that's going to be the case. So we don't need to be arguing about those things. What we need to be doing is worried about how Yasha'al is going to be saved. How are we going to get up in that kingdom? That's what my head is. How are we going to be saved? How are we going to get up in the kingdom? What is it that we need to do to walk in the way of righteousness? And now that's the ministry, if you will, that the Most High has given me for a long time. How are we going to get up in the kingdom? Point blank in the period. And this is one of those things, you know, we want to talk about today. So again, should we be calling ourselves kings? So let's go 1 Samuel chapter 8. 1 Samuel chapter 8. I missed it. 1 Samuel chapter 8. Anybody want to start? I'm going to start the first verse.
I can read.
You got it? You got it?
First verse.
Yeah, starting first verse. Yeah.
1 Samuel chapter 8, starting at verse 1. He says, when Samuel became old, he made his son judges over Yasharal. The name of his firstborn son was Joel, and the name of his second, Abijah. They were judges in Beersheba. Yet his sons did not walk in his ways, but turned aside after gain. They took bribes and perverted justice. Then all the elders of Yasharal gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah and said to him, behold, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint for us a king to judge us like all the nations.
And say that again now.
Now appoint for us a king to judge us like all the nations.
Like all the nations. So this is what's been getting us into trouble. We want to be like the nations. Even now, you know, coming back to the covenant, you know, a lot of times I'll hear, you know, well, what about everybody else? And look, at the end of the day, I really don't have a disdain for anybody. I really don't, never really have. However, the text says judgment begins at where? At the house of Yasharal, house of the Most High, right? And if we are the people who are going to be judging men and angels, right? We have to get it right. The instructions were given to us. And we dropped the ball. They were given to us. They weren't given to anybody else. They were given to us. So we got to get ourselves together. We got to get ourselves right before we even start, you know, going out and, right? Even, you know, even with the Most High told Peter, he said, once you are converted, then go strengthen your brethren, right? So some of us, just on an individual basis, we need to get our houses in order. So you know, how does that reflect as a nation? The nation has to come together. The nation has to build itself up before we can start thinking about anybody else. All praises. And not saying that they don't have, you know, a place, but we have to get ourselves together. And that was the downfall of Yasharal, constantly looking at the other nations, wanting what they got. Yeah, bro, verse 6.
Verse 6. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed to Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Samuel, obey the voice of the people and all that they say to you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them.
Read that again.
Obey the voice of the people and all that they say to you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them.
So this is Yah speaking. This is Yah talking. Obey the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them. So again, look, at the end of the day, we're all happy and elated that, you know what, we are the people of the book. That, you know, we have an identity now, this, now, whatever. That's all well and good. And we know that our people, you know, there were kings and this, now, whatever. However, we still are the same people that dropped the ball. We still are the same people that caused the earth and everything in it to be in disarray. right? Text says the whole creation groans, waiting for the manifestation of the sons of the Most High. The whole creation. That's huge.
Yep.
The whole creation. So Yah says they haven't rejected you, Samuel. They've rejected me because they want a king over them when I'm their king. So this is my thought process in saying, well, then should we be calling ourselves king? Should we be calling ourselves kings and queens and all of these things? Got something?
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because the spirit is moving. Because I've had this conversation recently. Me and Marayan and Joyce kind of got into it the other night. Plus, I talked to some guys on Clubhouse about the same thing. So, without going too far, ahead of you, because I'm trying to walk with you, right?
Yeah, right.
I think you speaking to something that's important, really. Because when we think about it, well, you know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until I'm gonna follow you.
All right. All praises. Okay,
Verse 8. According to all the deeds that they have done from the day I brought them up out of Egypt, even to this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they are also doing to you. Now then, obey their voice, only you shall solemnly warn them, and show them the ways of the king who shall reign over them.
So look at that. So now you go now Most High is telling Samuel, now you're gonna let the people know what it is they're wishing for. Let them know exactly what they're going to get in this king that they want over them. Right? And see the stark contrast of who they have over them already versus who they're hoping for. All praises? Yeah, bro.
Verse 10. So Samuel told all the words of Yahweh to the people who were asking for a king from him. He said, these will be the ways of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them to his chariots and to be his horsemen and to run before his chariots. And he will appoint for himself commanders of thousands and commanders of fifties, and some to plow his ground and to reap his harvest, and to make his implements of war and the equipment of his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive orchards and give them to his servants. He will take the tenth of your grain and of your vineyards and give it to his officers and to his servants. He will take your male servants and female servants and the best of your young men and your donkeys and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your flocks, and you shall be his slaves. And in that day you will cry out because of your king, whom you have chosen for yourselves. But Yahweh will not answer you in that day.
So all of these things, this is this man, this is this person that you're going to put over you, is going to do to you. This person is going to do all the things. He's basically going to make you his slave. This man that you want to appoint over you versus Yahweh, who's given you the world for your sakes and everything in it. But this is what you want. So this is my thing. Like, why are we calling ourselves, kings? And then, I was going over the line of kings that we had. And again, I'm not saying, I hate to use that word proud, man. I hate to talk about it. I hate to use that. I know that we are, again, elated to be Yasha'al. And it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, bro.
So I say this part. So like what you just said. So even though he acquiesced and said, you know what, y'all want to be like the nations, y'all choosing a man that y'all want king over you instead of me. There was still an order in how the king, or the line in which the king will come through. Southern kingdom, of course, it was through Judah. And then when it split, the northern kingdom had theirs.
Yes, right.
But the interesting thing is, everybody wasn't claiming the king. It was one king at a time, and they all were subjected to that king. So I think what's happening is, as we get further down the line, we can tie it into, I think when people see scriptures that talks about at certain time periods where you will be kings and priests over the nations. People are looking at that future context, and they're claiming it now, where not only are we not in the land, but our status has been lowered now because of the disobedience.
Right.
So how we elevating ourselves already
Right.
in this lower status, and we don't even know who's going to be a part of that remnant that's going to be, you know, the kings and priests. So this is definitely something important to talk about to help us keep it in perspective. And the same thing on the flip side, you know, kings and queens. These are both titles that come from the heathen, the Gentiles.
That's right. Marayan has his hand up.
Good. Are you going to touch on the language any? Because I don't want to get ahead of you. But
I don't think so.
okay, I don't want to step on your toes, but it's like it's ringing in my head because this week I've been watching. I went back and I was watching that video that Marayan did on Ahia versus Yahweh, and he went over what the Bible says the real name of the Most High is, and so that's why when he says getting back to the language is probably one of the most important things to understand the culture and context. In the Bible, the Most High don't even call us kings. Like technically, by the word Yasharala, that means the power of princes, and that even lines up with Genesis 32. And 27, when he was talking to Jacob, when he changed his name, he said, and he said unto them, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall no more be called Jacob, but Israel, or Yasharala. For as a prince, thou hast power with the Most High and with men. So the Most High, technically by the language, he don't even look at us as kings, princes.
And you know, and even with that, just exalting ourselves to put a name on ourselves. You know what I mean? We don't have to do that. The Most High's name is already on us. His name is already on us. We don't have to put a name on ourselves or anything like that. His name being on us is more than enough. It's more than enough, man.
I was actually Joy just shared me a verse, and this might be, and y'all guys can correct me because I'm definitely not a great steward of where, especially the context, but I know this is Revelation, so the verse Joy just gave me, Gerald, is this would be the position we would be in at this point, but it's Revelation 1, and I guess I can start right there at, I guess this would be like 6. And hath made us kings and priests unto Yah and his Father. To him be the glory and dominion forever and ever. So when you back up, it says, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood, and hath made us kings and priests unto Yah and his Father. To him be the glory and dominion forever and ever. Georgia shows point, like the ribbon gathered and everything. But what I wanted to just comment on, hearing you pose that question, I felt like, for me, well, for one, when I started to hear it, it was actually this one lady at Dollar General that's in my neighborhood. It was crazy. When I walk in, soon she would, I would see other races in line with me, or in the line. And when I come up, she'd be like, you know, what's up, King? Thank you, King. And then, like, as I leave the other person, she's like, how you doing? And so for me, the question that you're posing is dope, because I always felt like the way I viewed it was an awakening, like we're being reminded that we do come from a line of royalty, you know what I mean? So I never saw it as a negative connotation, because it was like, it brought me joy to hear, because I'm like, wow, we're waking up realizing we are somebody, and we come from the richest bloodline, you know, straight descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So I always saw it as a beautiful thing. And then for me, even more so, I saw this mess, I can't remember, I think I saved it on my phone, where they showed the man, and on the roster, all of our names. Yeah, you know what I mean? All of them, you know, and y'all in. I'm like, so wow, how specific is the scripture? You know what I mean? And then what we like to call each other, and I just say now, like, I feel like it just reminds me of how we are in the hood now. We all like to attach names. Nobody is like that while working in prison. Nobody that's in there goes by their last name. Everybody got a name. You know what I mean? Like, we like to be, you know what I mean? So I just feel like some of that stuff is evident now because, like, you know, when I grew up in Hampton Homes, the name be crazy. We was a lost people. But, like, why our people, we don't have a basic name. It's like, you know, in the hood, you know, it may be something crazy. Like, what's her name? You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just feel like all of it is just showing that it's there. We're far away, but you know, we still have those things in us, so to speak.
And you know, just know Sham is his name. You know, it's a name. It's it's the reputation. So a lot of our people were named after what they kind of did, or what, there's a reason why, the babies and things like that, or the boys weren't circumcised until like 8 days old and stuff like that. The parents would look upon the child and kind of name that child, based upon some of the attributes or whatever. So that name is your reputation. So think about that. The name Yasharallah or Yashar, we have Yah's name on us, right? So honestly, there's no other name or title or anything like that can go over that, or that should go beyond that. Yah's name being on us is more than enough. So a lot of the naming processes and titles and on all of these things that's now whatever our people kind of glory in is because of where we are in these captivities. You think about these nations, right? These nations are exalted, if you have a title or you have some type of status or whatever the case may be, they feel exalted. They almost feel like gods, right? Because they have a title or because they have some type of some name that they've either given themselves or that someone else has given to them. They feel exalted over everyone else. So a lot of that really comes from us just being in these captivities. But I think they knew it. Oh, then
I'm just going to share what Abaya said in the meeting chat. He said kingship is not our original culture. Malak is not the same as pagan king or queen.
And I want to say too.
I want to say, how you said Sham, and we know that like the reputation of things being put on us, being put on us. So us being Yasharal, think about the weight that holds, even knowing it and not even knowing it, and that name being placed on you, but the reputation of him. So how you act, how you behave, how you treat other people, how you are responding, that not matching up to the name. Like that's not a good thing at all. So when people are coming across your path and trying to tell you like you are of a royal priesthood, there is a way that we're supposed to be living. You are in the reputation of the Most High. So knowingly and unknowingly, how you display yourself, how you portray yourself, how you behave, all of that, you giving a black eye to the Most High when you're not operating in His ways and you don't look like Him. So I just wanted to say that.
Taking His name in vain. All praise.
Yeah. So were you going to go to Genesis 35? Was that in your breakdown?
I don't think so. Some of this I kind of go along with the Spirit was good.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so kind of what led me to look at it kind of from the perspective of what you're speaking to. Genesis 35:11. This is when he first made the covenant with Jacob and renamed him Israel. He was wrestling the angel. Genesis 35, starting at verse 10 and 11. And the Most High said unto him, Thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel. And the Most High said unto him, I am the Most High Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. So again, like we know the kingships did split, like I spoke to earlier with the northern and southern kingdom. But it made me think of like even when Christ came on the scene, and the first century believers expected him to become king at that time.
Right.
And he had to tell them, look, my kingdom is no part of this world. But yet they wasn't running around saying they were kings. You know, like they expected their king to come then.
That's right.
You know, so when you even look at it, in another quick thing, right quick, and we don't put a lot of stock in their lexicons and things like that, but it kind of helps us understand their thinking. So when you go to Revelations 1, in the verse that we just
read before.
We just looked at. When you look at that Kings, which verse was it?
Revelation 1.
Yeah, 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you look at that Revelations and you hit Kings, right? Even from their standpoint, from a Greek perspective, it says. Let's pull it up. So I'm working with a digital Bible. Basilius is the one they use in Greek right there. Basilius. And it says, leader of the people, prince, commander, lord of the land, king. So again, like I said, that wouldn't apply to everybody.
Right.
That's one particular person in that position.
Right.
Every single, like, you know, they say it's too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Not enough Indians.
You know what I'm
Exactly
saying?
right.
It reminds me of that. Like, if everybody running around claiming king,
Right.
now there is a context of power, of leadership at a point where we are elevated back to our status, to our position, as we spoke to, above the nations. Yeah, but we're going to always have one king over us, you know, as a people. Like, so just wanted to speak to that.
All praises, all praises. And you know, for me, it just makes me think back to the days of being in church, right? You know, everybody appointing themselves as, you know, apostle this, and prophet this, and prophet is that, and this, that, whatever, such and such, and all these titles, and you saw what came with it. You saw what came with it, the politics and all of these things, the exaltations of oneself. Now you can't speak to them, and you know what I mean. And it was crazy. And this is what it's coming to. So even now, you see, even now with our people, now here we are, we're supposed to be humbling ourselves and get back to the way to the Most High, efforting to get back. And our people have this moniker now, and there's an exaltation to now, we some of our people strut around, with their chests poked out and head up and this and that, whatever. Like, you can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them anything. And maybe it's me, but that's not what the Most High is looking for, y'all.
This is my last comment, bro.
Nah, good. Come on, man. Come on, man. We in the living room, huh? You know what I'm saying? We in the living room, bro.
I feel like this is making me think of, and when you read, I wrote down, I'm not sure which verse it was when you saw, I guess it was 1 Samuel 8, when the Most High was telling him, well, this is what this king is going to do. I feel like the enemy, Hasatan is kind of still running that same play. If I go back and use your verbiage about running a play, because when I think about our people now in this lost state, he takes one person, set him over us, and he's causing a very destructive mindset to happen. Like, you taking, and it's just because all this stuff in the media right now about, like Puff and all these people. But when you look at the rap industry and the music industry, they take an individual up, they naming themselves, like, even, Jay-Z giving them titles and things like that. But our people look at these individuals, and then we play it out in real life in these streets, you know what I mean, in these neighborhoods and everything. And so it's like we almost are being given a false king, you know what I mean, someone to look at, and then, he's feeding us all this garbage, and we literally live it out while these dudes is, selling their souls, but living in mansions, got their kids going to private schools and all these things. And I was one of them kids that, was in the house listening to Tupac. He was like my, everything going on. I've been placed with Tupac, you know what I mean? It was like, that's who was given to me as somebody to look to, you know what I mean? So it's almost like he's doing the same thing to us, you know what I mean? And I just think it's not, I know it's by design, because that stuff, I think one guy said, I don't need the wealth of your nation. He said, give me your music and I'll control your nation. That's a powerful statement.
Yep, I remember that. It's Hasatan is subtle, man. He is subtle. You may think that, it's nothing to it. But when it boils down to it, he's, you know, it's kind of getting you away from the things of the Most High. You know what I mean? Like, we were never told to name ourselves, to bring exaltation to ourselves. He said, humble us. He told us to humble ourselves to him, right? Humble ourselves. So again, his name is already on us. We don't need no other name. We don't need a title. I don't need a title to make myself feel good or to make myself feel exalted over anybody or this and that, whatever. That's what these nations are about. And again, isn't that what the people wanted? They wanted the king to do what? To be like the other nations. This.
I just wanted to add to what you said about the Most High name being placed on us already. And going back to what you said about the names of the slaves on the slave ship. Well, us being so lost for a very long time and not knowing that they named themselves after God or patented after God or whatever, it's written or encoded in our DNA, because now you have people that have names ending in Yah. And I even did it and didn't even know the history or anything about it, because I have Zaraya, and I have Crystal Aliyah, and I have a Kamaya and a Kaya.
And had no idea. Had no idea. We just, wow. Yeah. Right, like T's name, Takia, you know what I mean? Yeah, same thing. It's real, people. And again, this is, you know, my whole thing is just, I love my people, and I want us to, you know, be on the right side of this thing. You know what I mean? We want to be on the right side of the Most High. So we always want to err on the side of caution with every single thing. We've been in this construct for so long. We've been, you know, apart from our heritage for so long. We are efforting to get back. We may stumble along the way, but we know once we know, you know, and you acquiesce to that, right? But I want you to finish out that 1 Samuel 8, verse 19. But I just thought that really profound, just reading that 10 to 18, how the Most High showed them exactly what they were hoping for, exactly what this king was going to be, right? That you're hoping for because you want to be like everybody else. And this is their response, verse 19.
1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 19. But the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, no, but there shall be a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations.
See that?
And that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles.
So, as if the Most High wasn't already fighting your battles.
Wow.
As if he wasn't always, you know, already going out before you to fight your battles. All praise. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 21. And when Samuel had heard all the words of the people, he repeated them in the ears of Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Samuel, obey their voice and make them a king. Samuel then said to the men of Yasharal, go every man to his city.
This is crazy. But Joe, yeah, brought that verse out in Genesis 35. Was wild about that is another brother brought that verse. He did bring that verse out the last time I did speak on this, and he alluded to that's why a lot of our people do call themselves kings, because of that verse where it says, "King shall come." You know, Most High told Abraham, "King shall come from you," and that's why a lot of our people do, you know, put that moniker of king on them. Okay, but of course we know that this line comes through Abraham, and you know, because the people asked for a king, they asked for a king, even though the Most High told them what the deal was. He said, you know what, just go ahead and give them a king. You know, this is what they want. Go ahead and give it to them. This and that, whatever, and this is what it's going to be, because the Most High already knows the end from the beginning, right? So he knew what was going to take place.
Right quick, and from my understanding, didn't the kings only come through Judah?
Yeah, Judah, and then of course
The
the
northern
northern
people
tribe,
kind of
right?
did their own thing, but when they were together, the kingly line was Judah.
Right.
So it's not like every tribe was producing a
That's
king.
right.
So that's how I look at it. That it was never intended for it to be like an overall everybody thing.
Never intended.
You know.
No. And then when you even look at it, I don't know if anybody's read through Kings and Chronicles and things like that or whatever. These brothers were bugging. You know what I mean? I think just in the southern tribe, I can't remember exactly how many. I had it written down, but I think it was like 13, 15 or something like that or whatever. But most of the kings were dysfunctional. All of the kings, let's just check this out. All of the kings of the northern tribe were dysfunctional. Every last one of them. Okay, but most of the kings of the southern tribe were dysfunctional. You had a few that were functional and did what was right in the sight of the Most High, but most of them were dysfunctional, just like the Most High said was going to happen. And so now, we kind of want to just take these titles and put them on us, and and walk with our chest puffed out and this and that, whatever, and telling people they're gonna lick our boots and this and that or whatever such. Come on, man. Just like you just spoke to this about that reputation. We have the Most High's name on us. We have His name on us. This is not what He wants from us. How are you gonna judge nations righteously? Speaking and doing the same things that these wicked nations are doing to us. How does that make sense? So we're gonna, go and do the very same things to everybody else that they're doing to us? No. The Melchizedek, the order of the Melchizedek is what? The righteous kings, right? I think it's Malak Tazadak is what it is. The righteous kings. Righteousness comes from the Most High. So this is not going to be our place where we're, causing people to lick our boots and whipping them to oblivion and this and that level like what will happen to us. The reason why that happened to us is because our people dropped the ball. We did this. I don't look to anybody else. I don't say the nation stole our books and the nations did that. The Most High said, I'm removed from your heritage. I'm moving from the heritage that I gave you. So now we can't think we know it all, because the Most High has awakened us now, because again, we all had the veil over our heads. We all had it. I was talking to a brother the other day, and he's like, man, how did we not get this? We read through these scriptures, this, and how did we not get this? Because we were removed from our heritage, bro. You could have read this back and forth, and you still wouldn't have gotten to this place. Right? Doesn't it say, was that John 6:44? No man comes to my shop unless the Father draws him. So this is where we are now. So now we have to be in that place of losing our lives so that we may gain our lives. Losing my life is not me calling myself a king, walking around like my stuff don't stink. Acknowledge the consequence. I acknowledge the consequences of the transgressions of my forefathers. I acknowledge the consequences of my own transgressions. And every day I'm asking the Most High for forgiveness. Because every day, again, it's very, very subtle. Sometimes, you may be in contradiction and don't even know it. So we always have to be before the Most High in humility.
Did you want to say something?
But didn't the other nations take it too far?
They did.
We're not, we supposed to be restored after so many years?
They did. However, would it have even been the case if we were just obedient? Right? Yes, they did. They took it way too far. They bugged out on us, right? But would that have even been the case if we had just stayed in our lane? And that's how we got to look at it.
Then I was also thinking too, when Christ was on the scene, when he was instructing the apostles, remember it was a big deal for them to have rank or title, to be above each other.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the greatest? And he told them, like, yo, that's what the nations do. Like, what word they use, benefactors or something like that? Like, that's what the nations do. Like, you will be the greatest if you're willing to serve your brother. So the one that's willing to be the lesser, that don't think highly of themselves, that's what's rewarded. You know, so the whole spirit of trying to have a title and be over somebody, that's not it.
Right.
And then to what you said, sis, like we were talking recently, like the difference between like servitude and slavery. Some say it's the same thing, but they both kind of come with a different connotation. It ain't the same, because cattle slavery, like slavery, that's doing too much.
Right.
You know, that's what he's punishing them for. I ain't never intend for y'all to go that far. You know what I'm saying? But servitude, there's a such thing as righteous servitude we read in the scriptures, where after 7 years, they don't want to leave.
Right.
They want to stay.
Right.
You know, because they love their master. You look at Abraham and his servant. This dude loved Abraham. You know, so that's what we're really talking about when we talk about servitude. And I think people, because of what's been done to us, we compare that to is a spirit of I can't wait to do it back to y'all. But it's like, vengeance is the Most High. You know, like it ain't on us. So I think there's a difference.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
And I think even to elaborate back on Gerald, I think we got to be careful of that and guard our hearts to that and make sure our hands are clean and our hearts are clean, because that's one of the ones, I think it's in Joel when the Most High was telling, like, you laughed at us when we was getting our judgment. You know what I mean? You laughed at your brother as we was getting killed and we was running towards the mountains. You know what I mean? It was blocking off the way and actually taking delight in seeing us get that punishment. And I think though we want vengeance and a righteous vengeance, I think we do have to be careful to guard our hearts of that, because I think it's a beautiful thing that he brought out. Even when we talk about, I think those were like indentured servants, or they still had their family. You know what I mean? We was dealing with them in the right way. We wasn't tearing up family. We still had their family and everything. You know what I mean? And so I was going to ask you specifically, even with posing this question, would that be an issue in our part right in? Because I even know at one time when I was going around outside, the 5%ers was real heavy and everybody calling each other, guys and everything. But then I look at that scripture, I think it's John 10, 34. When Yahweh asked them, is it not written in your law? I said, ye are gods, little g.
I was actually looking that up too, yeah.
Okay, so all right, so bad. So I was asking, like, to understand if I say that, knowing if my understanding is known, I'm not calling myself the great I am, Elohim, but if you say, I am a God, I have the spirit, you know what I mean, it's rock in me. So would that be to consider do you feel like disrespectful for us to even have the title of king? If we know we're not technically saying that I'm the king over this nation, I'm just a royal priesthood.
I would say to not even go there, like why even have that title? Like even the psalm says, I can't remember what psalm that is, where he says, this is the Most High saying, haven't I said that ye are gods, right? Haven't I said ye are gods? I'm calling you God. That's what you are. But he says what? You will die like what? Men. Right? So I'm reminding you, you are gods. I'm thinking Ryan has his hand up too. You are gods, but here's the reminder. You did mess up. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted. You are gods, but you're going to die like a man because of disobedience. So we always have to, we have to be careful, because I'm telling you, man, in this construct, we're groomed to be on the wrong side of the Most High in this construct. And in this construct, they that's what they're all about, elevating themselves to portray to be like a God over the Most High. You know what I mean? They don't know him. So they're making gods out of anything, even each other. So that's where we really have to be. We have to be careful. I think Ryan had his hand up.
Cannot be heard clearly, y'all.
So I don't know which one it is. You're clear. You're loud, but you're clear.
Okay, well, y'all just let me know. Is that better? Test, test, test.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
I just wanted to say, as far as like the language goes for kapah, just understanding the word God can also stand for judge. You know, so when Yahweh Shai mentioned that, he also said, I think it was Paul, that we should judge angels. So, you know, you can look at that in two different ways as well, because the word for angel is also the same Hebrew word for king, malak. So we could be judging kings, we can actually be judging the principalities, but you know, I don't want to go too far because I don't want to overstep my rhyme, but I just wanted to say to keep that in consideration as well. So us being gods or as kings, that can also mean that we are judges, you know, so I'll yield with that.
Right. And how are we judging? We're judging righteously according to what the Most High says, right? This is not our own, you know, it's not our own thing. Judgment is not, well, it shouldn't be coming from what we think or what our opinion is, but it's coming from the Most High, right? He says, when he judges, says, judge what? Righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is everything that comes from the Most High.
Just a refresher for me. I think I heard something Marayan had brought out about the actual word king. Like it was, did he say it was like, could you read that again? That definition of what it really is? I think he said it was like really a pagan word. I didn't.
Oh, what
Yeah, it was like a Greek word.
Yeah.
Okay.
oh yeah.
You say malak doesn't mean it's like
King like it. Okay.
All right, judge, right? More of a judge. Say it in the chat.
Say what you're saying over the microphone.
Could you repeat what Marayan brought out about the word king? If possible. Because I didn't get a chance to hear it.
Talk to the right, right?
Now,
Oh
yeah, Chef, it's in the comments. I think Marayan wrote it down.
Oh, yeah, he was saying kingship is not our original culture,
It's not the culture.
and Malak is not the same as pagan king or queen.
Okay.
Mariah was saying it's more so judge.
Okay.
I just wanted to go back off of what you had said, the first thing you said, and what you said that about like exalting each other, you know, comparing each other, who's the greatest or not. But there's a scripture you sent to me and Mom in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12, and it says, "Not that we dare to classify or compare, or when they measure themselves by one another and compare themselves with one another, they are without understanding."
Well, read that again, but you have to speak a little bit louder. Yeah, read that again. I forgot about that. That was 2 Corinthians 10, right?
2 Corinthians 10, verse 12 says, "Not that we dare to classify or compare ourselves with some of those who are commending themselves, but when they measure themselves by one another and compare themselves with one another, they are without understanding."
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
And
I feel like that KJV cut a little deeper.
it cut a little. Oh, the way it reads, read that. Read that in KJV, please.
Just the 2 Corinthians 10, verse 12. For we dare not to make ourselves of the number, or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves. For they measure themselves by themselves, and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise.
Not wise. God. Right, I think you got your hand up too, okay? Yes.
Khan, I just wanted to add in.
Right, you got your hand up again, bro?
Yeah, I just wanted to add in what Marah has said to what I was saying a few minutes ago regarding the word king and angel. It's the same word, malak. And I agree with him when he said messenger. And me and Gerald, that's one of the things we were talking about. In regards to malak tazadak, when I told Gerald, I asked him, I said, who was malak tazadak that Abraham went and tithed to? Because you can look at it as the king of righteousness, but it can also be the messenger of righteousness. So, you know, when you're in that form, you are essentially the representation of Yahweh, but you are not the king of all kings. You're his messenger that he's giving word to lead his people. You know, just because you're in pagan terms, the king, it's still you, including the nation, are the most high people. Even Yahweh Shai, and that's why Mirage been going so hard about, you know, is Jesus the most high? And Yahweh Shai, we honor him as being our kinsman redeemer, but the most high is the king of all kings. So I just wanted to add that.
Con. And we all, you know, and again, this is not for us to, you know, well, you know, walk around our heads hung low or anything like that. No, at the end of the day, you know, we are the most high people, and it's a beautiful thing to know that, especially in a construct where you've been told you're nothing, you're less than nothing. You know, I always make a point when I see our people in the street, you know, may see a brother or sister, you know, that's not well to do or whatever. I always make it a point to tell them, you know, you are somebody. You are a child. You are a child of the King, the Most High. You know, I don't call them king or queen. Say you are a child of the King. So there is a beautiful inheritance waiting for you. You know what I mean? But again, it's not for us to hang our heads down low, and it's not, oh well, we dropped the ball, so you know, it is what it is, and throw up our hands. No, it's for us again to be on the right side of this thing, to be those children that the Most High, you know, that our lives may be a sweet smell and savor unto Him, that our lives may truly be that offering and that sacrifice unto Him, because He sees us walking in that humility. We don't need, and I don't need a name on me to make me feel good. The Bible says, the text says, the joy of the Most High is what? Our strength. That's our confidence. That's it. To know that now I have, you know, I have a chance at not just salvation from, you know, being saved from our enemies, but a chance at the tree of life. You see what I'm saying? The chance at the tree of life, if I effort, you know, and do my part to be diligent in walking in His way. That's what it should be about. That, you know, those weightier matters of His instruction. I hate that word law as well. I can't stand that word. No, I can't stand that word. But the weightier matter of His instructions, everything that He said, you know what I mean? We live and breathe by everything that proceeds out of His mouth, right? We thank Him for, you know, getting us to this point, awakening us to this point in, you know, showing us these new revelations that we make effort to get it right. So I believe this is one of those things that He shows us to humble ourselves so that He may exalt us in due time. Right? Because again, we have the teachings, we have a lot of the teachings of the nations. We have been shown a lot of things by the nations. And, you know, we pray and ask the Most High to, you know, remove the dross and remove these things that we've been taught in this construct, because those things are damaging to us as Yasha'al.
Yeah, you just hit it when you said the humble ourselves so we can be exalted in due time, right? But we see a spirit in this awakening by a lot of people where they already elevate themselves, right? The way they treat people, like even in the ministry, like on the corners and all of that stuff, and it's making it black. I mean, it's giving us a bad name, so to speak. I mean, they already hate us, but even in this awakening, they making it something that's not desirable because they already self-appointing themselves and elevating themselves beyond the Most High. And it ain't our time. So if you can really see, I can see the Most High letting a lot of that stuff like fall right on them, like unnecessarily people getting taken out and hurt and killed and all that stuff just because they out of order. You know, they're ahead of Him. So I mean, I think it's important to really just wait on His time to elevate us, because the scriptures speak of a time when the nations recognize who we really are. They're gonna want to fall in line. They're gonna want to support us and give us our substance and send us out and go with us and all of the above. But in the meantime, the people that's already trying to get ahead of it, just think of like the danger. Just quickly, it reminds me of like that whole little situation in Chicago. Like when they was out there protesting because of what's going on over there, and then some of the bros went out there with the signs and stuff and just, we gonna throw your babies up against the wall. And it's like, why we unnecessarily creating? Like, chill, man. Like, let the Most High work, you know? So it's just, I can just see how the wrong spirit, if they don't wait to be exalted in due season, like, it can just blow up in our face.
And you hit it right, in the nose too, man. That the wrong spirit, operating in the wrong spirit, and it's it, operating in the wrong spirit. And to land back off of you, I mean, you see several times in the text when one person or whatever was dysfunctional or doing things contrary to the Most High, it didn't just affect that person, right? It affected the people around them. People died. When I think about what happened with Achan, right? Brothers in battle, 200 and something soldiers died. And they're sitting there like, wait a minute, Most High, I thought you was with us. Right? One man was disobedient, one. All right? And 200 and something soldiers died. Right? And then, after he gets found out, his generations are wiped out. So that's what this is really all about. Operating in the right spirit. Operating in the right spirit. Again, just like we see in the text, no one outside of whoever was a king or whatever, they weren't calling themselves that. They didn't have to. They didn't have to. I think what you call it, Yashar. No such choice.
Might not reach way down there.
Just might have stepped to the front.
All right, my fault. No, I just had a question on what would you say is a way, like in modern times, we could be looking for a king instead of just submitting to the Most High? Would you say like relying on this government construct could be a way we making this nation a king over the Most High?
Well, this whole thing is about us calling ourselves kings and kind of, exalting ourselves. You know what I mean? But I mean, we know that anything can be an idol, man. Anything can be an idol. I mean, I always say that we can be our own worst enemy. We'll say that Hasatan, this, Hasatan, but a lot of times it's us. You know what I mean? I mean, think about Yashar. I mean, this is why the Most High, this is why we read that text in Leviticus 26 and 41, right? To acknowledge the consequence of the iniquity. So think about that, acknowledging the consequences of the iniquity, being accountable. Because a lot of times it's not Hasatan in the way, it's us. The Most High gave to our people, he said, I'm giving to you life and death, blessing and cursing. And then he says to choose life so that you and your seed may live. Right? He says to call upon his name. His name. Like we didn't choose him, he chose us.
It just puts me in the mind of, you think about the disciples that walked with the Messiah. They were just humble servants, so for us to go around to say that we're kings, again, just going back to what Burge was talking about, it does make us feel good and proud or exalted that we are the people, because that I think that initial feeling is really what gets you hyped about wanting to know more about this truth, because it's like, wow, we were put in the dirt and we was called dogs and all these names, and now we're like, hey, I'm a king, I'm a queen, so but just put you in the mind of when you do read, and the disciples, like
You know, they were humble. They were servants. They were servants. So just need to add that.
Praise.
Oh, what? Oh, okay, my phone. I was just yeah, I was gonna say what I like. You know, one of my favorite artists is Eshawn. I feel like I love one of his monikers or one of his things is the greatest of all time is a lamb, not a goat. And I feel like that's a very deep statement because, you know, we are very special in our society where it's sports, whether it's, you know, some type of artist, we all the goat. And it's like taking people and having them look in all these other directions when you should really be looking at the example that our Kisman Redeemer, Yahweh Shah, how he lived, and that's what we should be focusing on. So, and you know, him laying down his life for us is like, I feel like that was just a great reminder to constantly, it's almost like that bracelet we used to wear, you know, when we was even in church, what would Jesus do? But I feel like that statement that he has on some of his toes and everything, I think is pretty powerful. And I think, you know, when it comes to like these titles and things, you know what I mean, there's only one person that really should be wearing that, you know what I mean? So it's almost like, you know, for me, it made me think about playing football in years in college and stuff. You know, the quarterback put on a red jersey. Everybody can get hit, but can't nobody hit that quarterback. He got a red jersey. Don't touch him, you know what I mean? Right. So everybody can't have on a red jersey. Sound like what you said, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So again, Mashiach is our example. Like you said, what do he do?
We need the water boys.
Right? What do he do? Okay? His whole life, like his whole everything he did, was it exalted? Was it exalted? Right? He lived humbly. Right? Even when he did his miracles and things like that, some of them he told them, you know what? Don't say anything. Don't say anything. And he says, you know what? Foxes have holes and all of these things, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. He didn't go around with, like, you know, prancing around like he was king. And he's the king, right? But he didn't go around with that moniker on him.
Yeah, he waited until his appointed time to be exalted.
Exalted.
But when you said what you said about a lot of times it's on us. We create our own idols, right? You said we blame it on Hasatan, but it really ain't him, right? So so it made me think of, you know, when you think about it, like even in the garden, when it comes to obedience or disobedience, like Deuteronomy, because they blame somebody. They blame somebody. You know, Adam blamed somebody, Eve blamed somebody, everybody blaming somebody, you know, for what happened. But when you look at our faithful patriarchs who were faithful and how they were exalted, like Daniel, like Esther, like all these people in captivity, that just by being obedient and doing what they're supposed to do, they were elevated for the Most High's will and His purpose. They won't seek in those positions. You know, they were just being obedient and favorable, and the Most High used them as a vessel, you know, to be elevated in the right time. So in that sense, we also can see, like, when we think about ourselves, like, all we got to do is just be obedient, do what we told. We don't have to be trying to seek into these positions. We will be elevated in due time. He will match us to the moment, you know, and instead of just getting caught up and stuff and then having to blame somebody. You know, Hasatan ain't responsible for everything. A lot of times it's us.
It's us.
You know, so I think that's important too.
God. So with that, I'm gonna pull from what Baja did as far as, you know, showing the texts that Yahweh Shai is not God. I'm just gonna read just a couple of texts, you know, of the Most High, letting us know that He's our King. He's more than enough. He is more than enough. Praises, and that's where we as Yasharal should be, you know, just praising and feel just worthy that He's awakened us, because He didn't have to. He didn't have to awaken us to this. He didn't have to give us new revelations. He didn't have to. He didn't have to breathe into these dry bones, right? So Him just doing that and knowing that He's Abba, He's our King, is more than enough for me to be grateful, and to say to Wada Rabbah, right? And to praise and to lift up my hands and this, now, whatever. You know, I don't have everything going on, you know, going 100% perfect in my life, not even close. But just the fact that he's, you know, awakened me and you know, and given me a purpose. He's given us a purpose, y'all. You know, a lot of our people still, even in the awakening, a lot of people saying, you know, I want to find my purpose, this and that. He's given you your purpose. He's given it to you already. That finding my purpose thing, that's comes from Christianity. That's where we have to just kind of get those tapes playing out of our heads and all of these things that we learned, you know, in these churches and things like that. The Most High has given us purpose. He's given us purpose, right? We are the Melchizedek, right? The messengers of righteousness in the earth. Right? The text, I think in Romans, it talks about walking in the vocation for which you are called. So just like I said earlier, this is the dress rehearsal. We are practicing the righteous acts. We're efforting to get back to him. We're examining ourselves to make sure that we are in the faith. You know what I mean? So that Abba is pleased with us. That's what it boils down. High to be pleased with us. So in every single thing we do, we have to err on the side of caution because we've picked up so much nonsense in these captivities. All praises. So let's just go over a couple of texts. Psalm 44, verse 4. I'm not even going to turn that more bit down here. Because we're not done. Psalm 44, verse 4. And again, these are just, you know, just text to letting us know who's really on the throne. All praises. All praises. Psalm 44, verse 4 says, you are my king. O Yah, ordain salvation for Yahweh. You are my king. This is I think this is David speaking, right? He tells the Most High that you are my king. And he himself was what? Malak on the earth. But he said that you are king.
Oh, yeah.
All praises.
Sure.
Isaiah 44 and 6. Isaiah 44 and 6. I can find it. All right. It says, all right. Need to make sure this is right. This is what Yah says. Israel's king and redeemer. Yah Almighty. I am the first and I am the last. Apart from me, there is no power. This is what Yah says. Israel's king and redeemer. All praises. Isaiah 43:15. 43, verse 15.
I got a question.
Okay, right.
Could that like be a 2-for-1 right there? Because so he said, and beside me there is no God, right? So if he said that, so Christ is going to be at his right hand. He's the one that's beside me.
I see what you said.
But he said he's not a God.
Right.
So is that am I tripping?
Yeah, nah, you're right. You're right. Nah, that's it. Habashah is not the Most High.
He's not the Most High.
All praises. That's one for you, Abadya. All praises. Isaiah 43, verse 15 says, I am Yahweh, your Holy One, the creator of Yashra'al. What does it say? Your King. Your King. And we're not going to belabor this. I just wanted to just run off a couple of them. Your King. Jeremiah 10, verse 10. Right. Jeremiah 10, verse 10. where it says, but Yahweh is the true Elohim. He is the living power, the eternal, what? King. The eternal King. So eternal means what?
Forever. Never ending.
Forever, ever. Right? All praises, fam. So I'm like I said, I don't want to. We get the point. All right, we get the point. You had some out? I'll pass me that mic.
So what sparked the conversation for us, based on the topic you're talking about, we was like going through the chronological events of prophecy, and when you get to New Heavens, New Earth, we know how Christ got the title Lord of Lords, King of Kings, right? And then this text right here you just read is talking about the Most High, you know, the eternal, everlasting King, right? So I guess I brought up the question, like, have you ever seen a situation where two kings ruled at the same time, as far as like over the same people or the same kingdom? We never seen that,
Right.
you know? So I was thinking, like, well, what happens? And that's how I know it's something to this language, because when we see king, we automatically just think the leader, the one person, you know? But it can't be the same context as king for Christ as it is for the Most High, because we know Christ at the end of the 1,000 years hand all power and authority back to the Father, and he subjects himself. So what is really meant when we see this word king? On the surface, it's a conflict. Wait a minute, it can't be two kings
right,
at the same time. You know, if the Most High is coming down, I know he ain't subjecting himself to the Son. So that's kind of like what sparks. So what you're speaking to, like I said, is really important, because we see these things all the time, but a lot of people really don't go into the conversation. So I appreciate you going into, you know, this.
all praises. And that's where, you know, again, Ruach comes in, and, you know, like what and this is what, you know, the beauty of, you know, like, you know, Torah Group, and what Akbadia is doing, when he's kind of just helping to break down these texts through the Spirit, because we know that the text has been tampered with, right? It's going through these nations and this and that or whatever, and again, they never wanted us to get it, right? So we know it's been tampered with. So we know it's the Holy Spirit that says, I know it's going to bring all things back to our remembrance, right? And you know, and make these things new. So the Most High is bringing these and bring these things and uncovering things for us. So like I said, we know it can't be just like we, you know, going through the lesson that Yahweh Shai is not the Father, right? Yahweh Shai is not the Most High. So again, we just read that the Most High is the eternal King. So then what does that make Yahweh Shai? Right? So we know there has to be something within this pagan language that's screwed up.
I'm gonna get out your way, but you keep
Nah,
starting
come on,
stuff.
man. Come on.
So we see titles like Prince of Peace.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. You know, but then we see Everlasting Father, and then we see Mighty God, all of this other stuff that kind of creates a conflict on surface to your mind. But I mean, I think again, it's in the bastard. I don't want to use that word. It's in the language. It's in the messing up of, like, I'm telling you, the moment you took it out of Hebrew and start bringing the other stuff, now you got their concepts and their constructs, and it just makes it more broader than it's supposed to be. Now so many people can come up with so many doctrinal understandings, and then muddy the water up. You know, when it's really, he's a prince. He's a prince that was given power, that's inheriting rulership from his father. You know, and it's just that simple. But
come on,
these words,
bring it out. That's it. All praises. All praises.
Can I ask a question too? This is like, I'm not trying to jump off topic, but one thing that always bothered me, and I don't know exactly what a verse is, but when the verse was like, the most for Y'all's never seen asking or begging for bread.
Oh, that's it.
And I don't know that it's okay where you find it, but in that context, when I see, just like you was talking about, when we see our people on the corner and everything, we try to remind them that you are somebody. What's the context of them saying that? Because we see ourselves in a low state, you know what I mean? We still see ourselves not owning anything, or all the way down to the fact that we even on corners and different things like that. So what was the context of that verse when he was saying you'll never see one of his children asking or begging for bread?
Well, you see, well, at the time that that was written, right, Israel was doing all right, right? The king, you know, Malak Dawad was in power, and Israel was doing okay. So now, when we see our people out there, and again, it goes back to the curses. You know what I mean? Back to the curses. Our chosen people, we are chosen of the Most High, where we have, you know what I mean? Some way worse off than others. But doesn't mean that you are not somebody. We, again, the game is fixed. There's going to be a time where the Most High is going to restore us. But these are the consequences. This is the consequences of disobedience. You know, it's like, you know, somebody could tell me when I was on my bed of affliction, right? And I'm, you know, and it seems all hope is lost and this and that, whatever. And at the time, you know, somebody could come and tell me, well, Myron, you know what, man, you know, you a child of the King and this and that, whatever, man. Don't give up hope. Don't give up such and such, da 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 da. And you know, because of my affliction, I can't see it and I don't want to hear it, right? Doesn't make what they're saying any less true. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Doesn't make anything what they're saying any less true. At the time, I'm dealing with this thing, but I don't want to hear it because of what I'm dealing with and what I'm going through. And I see that a lot with our people. When I'm out there speaking to people on the street, this and that, whatever, you see it in their face. I'm telling them, bro, you are somebody. You are a child of the King, right? And they're looking at me like, you know, with two heads. But all I can do is share the truth with them, right? And pray and hope that, you know, what's coming through me, you know, is penetrating. It may not penetrate then. I may not even have to see the you know, the transformation if there be any, whatever. But the Most High at that time is giving me a seed to plant or to water. And prayerfully he'll bring the increase, you know, but these are the consequences of what we have done as a people.
To what you're saying, we got kicked out of the house for being disobedient. So your son, your daughter don't want to abide by the rules, you get kicked out. If you haven't learned those tools to sustain yourself, or if you still want to be worldly, you ain't eating. But if you come on back in his house, you eat real good. You're gonna obey.
Yeah.
To Gerald's, Gerald, you alluded to Isaiah 9:6. It don't read like that in Septuagint.
So that was really right.
Oh, you got
Yeah. Oh, okay. Verge. It's Psalm 37, right? But it says, that's verse 25. I have been young and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken or their seed begging bread. The righteous, how are we considered righteous? We have to keep his law, statutes, and commandments, right?
Come on.
So right now, we're not being taken care of. His hand is off of us because we're not keeping his law, statutes, and commandments. So we have to get back to that. So when you see some in lack, it's the consequences. But how do we get back to that?
Wow, so that's 37.
All praises. Fine, and I was gonna say, yeah. So I was gonna say read the whole entire chapter of Psalm 37. Yeah. Because even the title says David contrasts between the godly and the wicked. So he's given what happens even when the beginning starts off like, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall be soon cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in Yahweh and do good, so shall thy dwell in the land, and verily shalt thy be fed. But all down is pretty much saying like everything in righteousness, when you follow me, you're gonna be blessed. But everything in wickedness, you're gonna be out here begging. Like the other verse 21 goes, like the wicked borroweth and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. And it just keeps going back and forth of like the righteous, the wicked, the righteous, the wicked. So I would say read that whole entire chapter, and I think it'll put it in perspective, like us following the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, what it is that He commands us to do. He gonna keep us embedded in Him. But obviously, you know, we do have our people who don't know who the Most High is, and they are facing these struggles. But you know, I think that's where we come in as being the light to continue to shed that light to the most, well, not to the Most High, but to our people, so that they will come to the knowledge of like, these are the blessings. Let's reverse these curses that we've been under for so long. So yeah, chapter.
That's good. That's good. I think I was looking at it like a more of a blood thing, and not. It ain't just the fact that we're blood. It's who the ones who are keeping His commandments, not just from the lineage. You know. Right. But when I heard it, it was almost like I see my brother out there. Like, when I know you from that, we got off probably the same ships. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Why you make, but y'all, you know, broke it down.
Yeah, I mean, the sisters hit it in the head, man. Like, it's the same thing like with faith. Like, for the person that lack faith, you ain't gonna see the same results as a person who have faith. Like, most times gonna show up for the person who have faith. And it's the person that's obedient, he's gonna show up. Even in his captivity. Because we see throughout the book that even through captivity, the obedient, the faithful were still provided for. They were still elevated and taken care of. So that's how we transcend the captivity. Now, as a whole, as a nation, no, we're in trouble. We're on punishment. But as individuals, if your faith is correct, if you're obedient, if you're righteous and you're living by the laws and commands, then we can see Him show up for us in ways that other people can't. So unfortunately, the people we see in these positions, it's probably because either disobedience, a lack of faith, or something that put them in that situation. And the only way it's going to change is by tapping back into the Most High.
All for his glory, just like with that blind man, right? He said, you know, and the disciples were asking, he was like, well, who sinned? Did his mother sin? Did his father sin? Did he sin? Or whatever the case may be. And Mark said, no, he's blind for the glory of the Most High. See what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, so we don't know. But at the end of the day, we still have to deal with the consequences of disobedience. At the end of the day.
You and your wife on the same wavelength. She just made a good point.
Oh, yeah, what'd you say?
Yeah, before you said that, I was just saying, or it can be for the Most High to show His glory. Because with Job, you know, Job didn't do anything wrong, right?
I see you, we right here, y'all.
It's a deep question for me, because even when I look at my life, and as long as I live my life outside of the will of the Most High and unknowingly, I still didn't see, He still didn't allow even my immediate family and us to just fall flat on our face. It's like, I can see His provision then. So it's kind of like, we wasn't keeping no commandments, you know what I mean?
Right.
I think that reminds me of Howard said, because some of it may have to do with the scripture where he was talking to Moses. He said, I'm going to show mercy on whom I show mercy.
Again, remember, He knows the end from the beginning, man. He knows. He knows and sees all. You know what I mean? You know, our minds are finite. You know, He's infinite. He knows all. He sees all, man. So, all praises. But I yield, family. That's all I got. You know, all praises. Thanks for everybody being in the living room and chiming in. This is how we get down, man. So all praises, family. So we're gonna close out. Pop, we're gonna ask you to close us out, if you will. Turn ourselves to Yahweh Shalom.
Abba, we just come before you as humbly as we know how, thanking you for who you are, thanking you for just being a faithful, righteous Elohim. Thank you for just being a faithful father to your people. Thank you, Abba, for just remaining on your throne. rising the sun, keeping the stars and the sun and the moon in line and running its course. And even as Monday, we pray, Father, as the world is getting stirred up, we know you say you give us these things for times, seasons, and signs. I just ask that you keep us safe, give us the discernment to move accordingly, allow us to be obedient to your Ruach. If we need to stay home, we stay home. We just ask that you just give us safety, be a covering, let us have our Goshen wherever we may be, for no matter what we see. But I thank you that we have this truth. We're grounded. You are our strong tower. You are our place of refuge. So we just thank you for this Bayat, this family, and this manner that you fed us today. And I ask that you just continue to increase our faith in you, our strength as we see things going forward, that we not be afraid, but we stand strong and mighty in unity, knowing that your word shall come to pass. Your promises do not fall void. And we thank you and ask that you keep us clean, forgive us of our sins, so we can be considered righteous and counted amongst the few of the remnant that will be saved. So we say this in your son, Yahushua's name. Amen.